The planet Vorx-9 was cold, dry, and full of garbage. It was not a beautiful place. People came here only to mine rocks, trade old machines, or hide from the law. The sky was always gray. Dust filled the air. The ground was covered in broken metal, wires, food waste, and old machines. It smelled bad, and many people wore masks to breathe better. In the middle of this dirty place, an alien girl named Laura was looking through trash. She had soft purple skin, large dark eyes, and long black hair, full of dust. She wore old, torn clothes and had no shoes. Her hands were thin, and her face showed sadness and hunger. Laura was from a race called the Viren. Many people believed the Viren were weak and useless. Years ago, her home planet had been destroyed by slavers. Since then, she had lived alone, moving from one world to another. She had nothing, no family, no friends, and no place to call home. Every day, she searched through garbage piles near the colony walls. She looked for food, old tools, or anything she could use. People saw her and made rude faces. Some said bad things when they passed by. "Why is that thing still here? She stinks worse than the trash. Someone should send her away." Laura heard every word, but she said nothing. She had heard these things before. She was used to being treated like she didn't belong. But she still hoped that one day someone might treat her kindly. That day came when she met Elias Ward. Elias was a human man in his late 40s. He had short gray hair, a beard, and a strong body. He was a former space, a soldier who had retired after many battles. He had come to Vorx-9 to live a quiet life. He had no family either, just a small home made from an old cargo ship. Elias often walked near the junk fields to find parts for machines. He didn't talk much. People respected him, but also feared him. He was strong, silent, and serious. Inside, he was not a cruel man. One evening, Elias saw something strange. A group of local men were laughing and shouting near the trash piles. He stopped and watched. There she was, Laura. She had found a small metal container with some old food inside. Before she could eat it, 3 men pushed her to the ground. "This isn't your trash, alien. Go dig somewhere else. Get lost, freak." They kicked the box away. Laura didn't fight back. She covered her face and stayed on the ground. Elias had seen enough. He walked up to the group. His boots crunched on broken glass. The men turned and went silent when they saw him. "Leave her alone," Elias said. "Come on, Captain Ward. She's just I said leave her." The men looked at each other. No one argued. They walked away quickly. No one wanted to fight a soldier. Elias turned to Laura. She sat up slowly, afraid. "Are you okay?" he asked. She didn't speak. He reached out his hand. "Come with me." Laura stared. At his hand, her eyes were full of fear. Was this a trick? Was he just another person who wanted to hurt her? But his voice was calm. His face looked serious, but not angry. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. They walked together through the trash field, past metal walls, and into the quiet area of the colony. Elias led her to his home. It looked like a crashed ship from the outside, but inside it was warm and clean. "You can stay here for the night," he said. Laura stood in silence. He gave her clean clothes, a towel, and let her wash. Then he placed some hot food on the table. She sat down slowly and ate with small bites, as if unsure it was real. Elias watched but said nothing. He understood her fear. That night, Laura slept in a real bed for the first time in years. In the morning, Elias was working on an old engine. Laura watched him closely. She was curious. She saw how he used tools and fixed wires. When he dropped a tool, she picked it up and handed it to him. "You want to learn?" he asked. She nodded. From that day, Elias taught her how to repair machines. Lyra was smart. She learned fast. In a few days, she was fixing small parts on her own. Elias started calling her a quick hand. They worked together. Elias would take fixed parts to the market and trade for food. The people in the colony noticed the strange pair. Some still said mean things. "Why help an alien? She'll steal from you. She's dirty." But Elias didn't care. He only said, "She's got more heart than most of you." Lyra began to smile again. She talked a little more each day. She told Elias about her past, her planet, her family, and how she had escaped the slavers. He listened quietly. He never asked too many questions. He just gave her space. Lyra started to feel safe. She still remembered the garbage, the cold nights, and the people who treated her like dirt.
Oh.
But here with Elias, things were different. She wasn't garbage anymore. One afternoon, while walking through a large junk field, Lyra found something unusual, a broken machine buried under wires and metal plates. It had a strange light blinking. She picked it up and wiped off the dust. She didn't know it yet, but this small device would change everything. Lyra held the strange machine in her hands. It was small and dusty, with wires sticking out. One tiny blue light blinked slowly. She had never seen this kind of tech before. It looked old, but not useless. She brought it back to Ilias's home. "What's this?" he asked. "I found it under a pile of junk," she said quietly. Elias took it from her and examined it. "This is a signal beacon. Old model. Military tech. Might still work if we fix it." Together they opened the machine and began repairing it. It took 2 days. They cleaned it, fixed the broken wires, and recharged its power cells. When they turned it on, the screen lit up with a message in an old space language. Lyra watched as Elias translated it. "Warning, slave ship detected near Sector Theta 6. Active scans show multiple Viren targets on board. Possible future attack. Route, Vorix 9. Lyra's hands began to shake. She looked at Elias. "They're coming here?" He nodded. "Looks like it." They both knew what it meant. Slavers were dangerous. They flew black ships with no names. They stole people, especially weaker alien races like the Viren, and sold them for labor across the galaxy.
Only no one dared
to fight them. Most colonies simply paid them off or looked the other way. Lyra's heart was beating fast. Her people had suffered enough. If the slavers came here, others like her might be taken too, and the colony leaders would not stop them. They would probably trade her again, just to stay safe. But Elias stood up. His voice was firm. "We won't let them take this place. We'll stop them." Lyra looked at him with surprise. "Just us?" He nodded. "Just us. For now." Over the next week, they worked day and night. Elias used his old military skills. He taught Lyra how to set traps, how to build small energy shields, how to use radio signals to confuse enemy scanners. Lyra helped by repairing broken drones, hacking old defense bots, and gathering wires and metal plates from the junk fields. Her hands were fast. Her eyes were sharp. She was no longer just a girl who searched through garbage. She was becoming a fighter. They set up hidden turrets on the colony's edge, powered by solar cells. They rewired old machines to create electric barriers. Slowly, they built a small defense system with whatever they could find. No one in the colony knew what they were doing. Most still ignored Lyra. Some even laughed when they saw her carrying heavy tools or working with machines. But one person, a young human girl named Kira, noticed she walked up to Lyra while she was fixing a power line. "Are you building something?" Kira asked. Lyra looked at her. Kira was about 10 years old, with short brown hair and curious eyes. "Yes," Lyra said, "but it's not finished yet." Kira smiled. "Can I help?" Lyra hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, but be careful." That day, Kira helped carry small parts. She didn't care that Lyra was an alien. She just wanted to learn. Back at home, Elias saw Lyra smiling again. "You made a friend," he said. Lyra nodded. "She's kind." Elias looked at her with pride. "So are you." Lyra looked down. "You're the only one who sees that." "Maybe," Elias said, "but that's enough for now." One night, as stars covered the sky, Lyra asked him, "Why did you help me back then?" "In the garbage?" Elias thought for a moment. "I fought in many wars," he said. "I saw pain, fear, and death. I saw people turn cold. I saw others become heroes. One thing I learned, goodness is not about species or strength. It's about choice. He looked at her with calm eyes. You didn't deserve what happened to you, and I had a choice, so I chose to help. Lyra nodded slowly. No one had ever spoken to her like that before, but the peace didn't last long. 2 nights later, the warning came. The beacon lit up again. Slaver ship approaching. ETA. 3 days. Lyra and Elias knew the time had come. They went to the colony. Leaders and shared the message. The leaders, a group of wealthy traders and old miners, laughed at first. Slavers. Here. We're not important enough. Elias raised his voice. I've seen these kinds of attacks before. They don't care who you are. One leader frowned. So what do you want us to do? Fight them? With what army? We've already built a defense line, Lyra said. We just need support. The room went silent. You expect us to trust a Viren girl? One man asked. Elias stepped forward. She's saved this colony more than any of you. There was anger in the room. Some men wanted to send Lyra away. Others said they would rather surrender than risk a fight. Lyra walked out of the room. She didn't cry. Had expected this. But Elias stayed behind and left them with one final warning. If you won't fight, then stay out of our way. That night, Lyra stood on a tall platform and looked at the stars. She could feel fear inside her. Not for herself, but for Elias, for Kira, and for the people who still didn't see the danger. She didn't want anyone else to suffer like she had. Elias joined her on the platform. Are you ready? He asked. She took a deep breath. Yes, she said. Let them come. In the distance, far beyond the edge of the sky, a small dark shape appeared. It moved slowly, like a shadow across the stars. The slavers were coming, but this time, Lyra would not run. She would stand and fight, with Elias by her side. The sky above Vorx 9 turned darker than usual. A huge shadow moved through space, blocking out part of the stars. It was the slaver ship. The people in the colony could now see it too. It was black, sharp-edged, and shaped like a long claw. It made no sound, but everyone could feel the danger in their hearts. Lyra stood on the platform with Elias, watching the ship come closer. They're here, Elias said quietly. Lyra nodded. We're ready. But deep inside, she felt fear. Not for herself, but for Elias, for Kira, and for the innocent people in the colony. They walked back to their home now, half workshop, half defense station. Inside, lights blinked, small drones buzzed, and control panels glowed softly.
Elevated.
Their defense system was made from broken machines, rebuilt drones, and power cells found in garbage. It wasn't perfect, but it was smart, and it was strong enough. To fight back, suddenly, a loud message came through the colony's speaker system. People of Vorx 9, this is Captain Drav of the ship Silent Fang. We require labor. You will hand over 12 workers, no questions. If not, we will take them. By force, you have 24 hours. The colony went silent. Panic followed. The leaders held an emergency meeting. Many were scared. Some were angry. We can't fight that ship. They'll destroy everything. Give them what they want. But Elias stood firm. You give. Them workers now, they'll come back next month and ask for more. You'll never be safe again. The room argued loudly. No one agreed. Then one leader said, We'll send the ones who don't belong. Like her, he pointed at Lyra. She's not even one of us. Give her up. Lyra didn't speak. She already knew they would say this. Elias stepped forward. She's under my protection. If you hand her over, you'll have to go through me. Room went quiet. Later in the streets, people started talking. Some whispered that Lyra was the reason the slavers came. Others believed she could fight them. Many didn't know what to believe. But one thing was clear. Time was running out that night. Elias and Lyra finished setting up their defense lines. They placed EMP bombs in old delivery bots. They loaded plasma traps near the colony's main gates. They trained 2 small helper droids to fly in loops and confuse the enemy's sensors. They were ready for war even if they were only 2 in the early morning. The slaver ship landed. Its engines rumbled like thunder. The ground shook. Dust flew into the sky. Large black doors opened, and figures in armor walked out. Their helmets were shaped like skulls. They carried shock weapons and chains. The colony's gates opened slowly. Few frightened leaders stood near the edge. One of them held a list of names. Lura saw her name at the top. Elias clenched his fists. "I told them not to," he whispered. Before the slavers could take a step forward, a voice shouted from a rooftop, "Stop." It was Lura. She stood tall. With her arms raised, she was not hiding anymore. "I am the one you're looking for," she said, "but I won't go with you." The slavers laughed. "You don't have a choice," their captain replied. Suddenly, with the push of a button, Elias activated the first trap. A powerful electric shock blasted across the field. One of the slaver soldiers dropped his weapon and fell. Then the drones appeared buzzing in fast circles, firing small laser beams at the invaders. The slavers shouted and returned fire, but the drones moved too fast. Elias and Lura fought side by side. Elias used an old plasma rifle from his soldier days. Lura threw flash bombs to blind the enemy. She had made them herself from broken screens and crystal shards. The colony watched from windows and rooftops. No one expected the battle to start like this. But something strange happened. A few workers picked up tools and joined the fight. One threw a heavy wrench at a slaver. Another pushed over a supply crate to block the road. People who had never stood up before were now choosing to fight. Lura ran toward the signal tower. She had a plan. The beacon they repaired before had a secret function. It could send out a distress call to nearby ships. If anyone was close, they might help. She reached the tower and connected the wires. The beacon lit up. Help call sent. Location Vorx 9. Threat slaver raid. Then she heard a sound behind her. A slaver officer stood at the door, his weapon raised. "You should have stayed in the trash," he growled, before he could fire. Elias appeared and tackled him to the ground. They fought hand to hand. Elias was strong, but the slaver was wearing armor. He pushed Elias back and aimed his weapon. Lura didn't think she jumped forward and hit the slaver's wrist with a metal rod. The weapon fell. Elias punched him again, and the officer dropped. Elias stood up, breathing heavily. "You saved me," he said. Lura helped him stand. "You saved me first." The battle lasted for hours. By sunset, many of the slaver troops were down. The rest began retreating toward their ship. Then, a new sound echoed in the sky. A silver ship appeared through the clouds. It was small, but fast. It had the symbol of the United Star Alliance on its wings. They had heard the call. The ship fired a warning shot near the slaver vessel. Loudspeakers called out, "Leave now or face full attack." The slavers didn't wait. They rushed back into their ship and flew away into space. The colony was safe. Silence followed. People stepped out of their homes slowly. The air smelled like smoke and sparks, but it was over. Lura and Elias stood together, their clothes dirty, their faces tired but proud. People began to clap, then cheer. Some ran forward to help carry the wounded. Others offered water and food. The same people who once looked at Lura, disgust, now looked at her with respect. She wasn't the garbage girl anymore. She was their protector that night. Kira ran up to Lura and hugged her tightly. "You were amazing," she said. Lura smiled. For the first time in many years, her heart felt light. Elias sat down beside her on the platform and looked at the stars. "You know what this means?" he asked. Lura nodded. "They won't forget this." He smiled. "Neither will we." The sky above them, stars shined brighter than before, but Luar knew the fight was not truly over. Something had started on VORX-9, and it would lead to something even bigger. The next morning, the colony of Vorx 9 was quiet, but not from fear. It was the silence of peace after a storm. As the battle was over, the slavers were gone. As the damage was real, burned streets, broken walls, fallen machines, but people were alive, and they were free. Laura woke up to the sound of gentle knocking. It was Kira, holding a basket of fruit and bread. "These are for you and Elias," she said with a big smile. Laura smiled back. "Thank you, Kira." The young girl looked up at her with shining eyes. "My dad says you're a hero now." Laura nodded slowly. She had never been called that before, not by anyone. Inside the workshop, Elias was fixing a damaged drone. His arm was wrapped in a bandage from the fight. He looked tired but happy. "You should rest," Laura told him. He shook his head. "These drones helped us survive. We'll need them ready in case trouble returns." Laura sat beside him and started. Working too? They didn't speak for a while. They didn't need to. Their hands worked like a team, quiet, careful, strong. That afternoon, something unexpected happened. The colony leaders came to visit. They stood awkwardly at the edge of Elias's home. Most of them had once tried to send Laura away. Now they looked nervous. One of them, a man named Halric, stepped forward. We came to say thank you," he said. "Without you, we would have lost everything." Laura didn't reply. She just kept working. Halric continued. "We were wrong about you, about both of you. You didn't just save yourself, you saved us all." Elias stood up and looked them in the eye. He had a chance to fight. He didn't take it. She did. Halric lowered his head. "We want to fix that.
We want Laura to join the colony council.
We need someone who knows how to lead." "Someone brave." Lura looked up, surprised. "Me, yes," another leader said. "You helped people who hated you. You protected children and strangers. That's what a leader does." Lura stood up slowly. Her voice was calm. "I don't want power. I only want safety. For everyone." They nodded. "Then help us build that safety. Be our voice." Lura thought for a long moment. Then she said, "I'll think about it." Later, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Elias and Lura walked through the junk fields where it all began. The garbage. Piles were still there, twisted metal, broken parts, old wires. But something felt different now. It was no longer just trash. It was a memory. "I still remember the day I saw you here," Elias said. "I thought you were going to chase me away." Lura replied softly. "I almost walked past," he admitted. "But then I saw how the others treated you. And I thought, what if someone had helped me when I was broken?" Ow. Lura looked at him with soft eyes. "You did more than help me? You gave me a life again?" Elias smiled. "And you gave me a reason to fight again." That night, a celebration began in the colony square. For the first time in years, music played. Lights were strung between buildings. Families danced. Children ran with glowing sticks. Even the guards smiled. Kira pulled Lura into the middle. "Come on! You have to dance!" Lura laughed. "I don't know how." "That's okay," Kira said. "Just move your feet." Elias sat at the edge, watching with a soft grin. A young boy gave him a piece of cake, took it without a word, and nodded in thanks. People who had once feared Lura now greeted her with warm faces. They brought gifts, blankets, books, tools, even small drawings. One girl gave her a picture of Lura standing on a mountain with the words, "Thank you," written in big letters. Lura felt her heart grow full. She wasn't alone anymore. But while the colony danced, far above them in space, other eyes were watching. A message traveled from the slaver ship that had escaped. It reached a hidden base far beyond normal star routes. Inside, a man in a black cloak read the report. "Failed mission," it said. "Alien girl helped lead resistance. Human ex-soldier. Involved enemy too strong. We retreated." The man's eyes narrowed. "She's Viren." He asked a shadow beside him. "Yes, sir. The last few. Clever and dangerous." The man stood slowly. "Find her. I want her brought here, alive. The slavers may have been beaten once, but they would return." Back on Vorex 9, Lura began to take on new work. She repaired damaged homes, taught others how to fix machines, and helped young aliens and humans learn together. She also kept watching the skies. One day, while digging near the old beacon tower, she found another strange object, a crystal core inside a broken machine. She showed it to Elias. "This is ancient tech," he said. "Very rare, could be used to power something big." Laura's mind began to think, what if they could build something new? Something that could protect more than just one colony? "If we don't just wait for trouble," she asked, "what if we go out there and stop it before it comes?" Elias nodded. "Then we'll need a ship." In the weeks that followed, they began working on a secret plan, restoring an old ship hidden deep in the junk fields. It was large, rusted, and missing parts. But the frame was strong. They called it the Rising Light. Every day, more people came. To help humans, aliens, young and old. They brought parts, tools, and stories of other places that needed help. Lura had become more than just a fighter. She was now a symbol that no one is too small to matter. A symbol that kindness can become strength. A symbol that sometimes hope starts in the garbage, and it was just the beginning. Far away, the deep cold of space, trouble was building again. But this time, the people of Vorx 9 were ready, and at the front of the fight would be a young alien woman once forgotten. Now chosen Lara. The old junk ship stood tall in the middle of the scrapyard. Once broken, rusted, and forgotten, it now shined with new metal plates, working engines, and strong wings. People from all parts of the colony had worked together for weeks to rebuild. They named it the Rising Light. It was more than just a ship. Now it was a symbol of hope, a symbol of unity between humans and aliens, a symbol of change. And at the center of that change stood Ulira. The young alien woman who was once treated like trash now stood proudly on the ship's command deck. Her soft purple skin glowed under the lights. Her eyes were strong. Her heart was ready. Beside her stood Elias Ward. His soldier past had returned, not in violence, but in leadership. He had found purpose, again through Lura, through the colony. Through their shared dream, the first test flight was a success. The ship flew above the colony, through the clouds and into space. Everyone below clapped and cheered. The children ran and waved. Old miners wiped tears from their eyes. Even the cold-hearted leaders had changed. They now believed in something greater than just safety. They believed in standing together. 1 week later, message came. A nearby colony drain. Station was under attack. Slavers had returned. They were stronger this time. They were using new weapons, taking people fast, and leaving nothing behind. Lura looked at Elias. "It's time." He nodded. "Let's go." They gathered a small Tiong workers, brave, traitors, a few ex-guards, not trained soldiers, but people with fire in their hearts. People who had seen darkness but still chose light. The Rising Light flew toward Drayon Station. It was their first real mission, as they flew through space. Lura walked through the ship, checking every part. Engines were running smooth, weapons were online, drones were ready. The crystal core she had found earlier now powered the ship's defense shields. She looked at her reflection in the glass window. She didn't see a scared girl anymore. She saw a protector, a leader, a fighter. They reached Drayon Station in 2 days, from space. It looked like a large metal ring with small buildings floating around it. Fires burned across one side. Escape pods flew away. A slaver ship circled like a predator. Lure. Opened communication. "This is Lura of the Rising Light. We are here to help. Hold your ground." The people of Drayon Station replied quickly. "Please. We have families here. They're taking our children." Elias turned to the crew. Time to make history. The battle began. The Rising Light flew close to the slaver ship and released drones. The drones used confusing light patterns to blind the enemy's sensors. Lura had programmed them herself. Elias fired EMP blasts from the ship's lower cannons, shutting down the slaver ship's shields. A team from the colony, led by Lura, flew down to the station using small shuttles. They fought with stun weapons, smoke bombs, and clever traps. People from Drayon Station joined the fight too. They had been afraid, but now they had hope. Slaver troops were pushed back step by step. Inside one dark hallway, Lura found a group of children hiding behind boxes. Their eyes were wide with fear. She knelt down and held out her hand. "It's okay," she said softly. "You're safe now." A small girl with silver hair came forward. "You're not human." Lura smiled gently. "No, but I am your friend." The girl took her hand. Back in space, the slaver captain grew angry. He called for backup ships. But then, something amazing happened. A second ship appeared from hyperspace. It was a patrol ship from the United Star Alliance. They had received the same distress call that Lura's beacon had sent weeks ago. "Stand down," the Alliance captain said to the slavers. "This space is under protection." Slavers had no choice. They retreated and jumped away. The battle was over. Drayan Station was safe. When Lura and her team returned to the rising light, people cheered. Children waved. Adults clapped. The leader of Drayan Station came forward. "Thank you," he thought. "No one would help us." "You saved lives today," Lura replied. "You would have done the same for us." "One day you might." He nodded. "We will." The rising light returned to Vorix 9 a few days later. The ship now carried more than just people it. Carried new stories, new hope, and new friendships. News spread across nearby systems. More colonies sent messages. "Will you help us too? We want to join your network. We have broken ships too. Can you teach us?" And Lura said yes. She and Elias started a small group called the Circle of Light. It wasn't a government. It wasn't an army. It was a team of helpers people who protected others, taught skills, shared tech, stopped slavers before they could harm back on Vorix 9. Things had changed. The junk piles were now treasure grounds full of parts for new ideas. The people no longer feared aliens. They welcomed them. Children played together, human, Viren, and other races. And in the center of it all, a workshop stood strong. Lura and Elias's home, one evening. As the sun set behind the junk mountains, Lura sat on the roof, looking at the sky. Elias sat beside her, holding 2 cups of warm tea. "We've come a long way," he said. She nodded. "We have far to go." He smiled. "You once searched through garbage just to survive. And now," she said with a smile, "we're building stars from it." They clinked their cups and sat in silence, watching the stars. Epilogue years later. A young boy on a distant planet asked his teacher, "Is it true that a girl from the trash fields saved a whole colony?" The teacher smiled. "Yes, her name was Lura. Was she human?" "No, but she showed us what it means to be human: kindness, courage, and never giving up." The boy looked up. "I want to be like her." The teacher nodded. "Then be brave and always help others, just like she did." The end.